best Liberty yet. It delivers 20% better weed control than generics thanks to its Liberty Lock formulation. And it's got easier handling too. So thanks, Dad, for teaching me to use Liberty Ultra herbicide. It's nice to know that good weed control decisions run in our family. Always read and follow label directions.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum, C.H. Moore Homestead. Good to see you as always, Joey. How you doing? Thanks for coming out and talking with us. Can you pull that mic just a pinch closer to you? Thank you. You've got a soft voice, and we got to hear you today, Joey. At any rate, Apple and Pork Festival, Joey, is in the books. How you doing? You doing all right?
Recovered.
You're recovered?
Yeah.
Ready to move along. As we talk about Apple and Pork, you know, you and I were chatting before we came on, and I know you made mention of this to me wrapping up our coverage of the Apple and Pork Festival last month was just it felt like there was a different vibe on the grounds this year. And you even mentioned you had someone make note of that as well. Speak to that conversation.
Yeah, when we talked at the end of the weekend, you and I mentioned that it just seemed to be a different feeling, a different vibe in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Good, positive. I don't know, it just felt different than past years. And I don't know what the reason would be for that, but I'm certainly glad about it. And then, you mentioned that you kind of felt that too. And then in the last week or so, I didn't bring it up, but someone else just, in conversation kind of, said something along the same lines. So we look at, numbers of attendees and sales and whatnot as being a factor when measuring the success of the festival. That obviously is something you can't measure, but I think there's a lot of value in that too, right?
Right, for sure. Yeah, it was just, I thought it was a great festival this year. It wasn't a record setter or anything like that, but it doesn't always have to be, right?
Right.
Get that usual crowd. I was helping the Y with their pork cutlets, and I felt like I didn't do anything because by the time I got there, Rennie told me they were just about out. We flipped, I don't know, maybe 50, 75, and they were done. But still there were groups selling out and all those things. So,
Yeah.
and that's obviously the goal of the festival, right? Is to bring enough
Absolutely.
people that those groups don't have to take anything home.
That's right.
Sure. And I wonder, Joey, for you, I know I ask you this every year after the festival, but when does review begin for the last festival and then planning obviously for the next one begin?
They actually, there is a committee made up of members of the DeWitt County Museum Association Board of Directors. And those people rotate each year.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a committee charged with, kind of overseeing the festival. And they actually had their recap meeting the week after the festival. While all of that is still fresh on people's minds, what went well, what maybe could have used some improvement, just communicating back and forth, different things. And so the recap was the week following.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure by this point that was what, 50, was that 58? The festival?
57.
57.
Uh-huh.
After 57 times at it, you've been at it for a long time now too. I venture a guess things just kind of run themselves anymore, right?
They really do. There's so many responsibilities and parts and pieces and everything that have to go together. This year was actually the first year that festival committee requested that we make up a chart, if you will, listing the different responsibilities, things that people might not think about necessarily, or things that, people have been doing, for years and years and years that, the other people don't even know that it's necessary to do this to be able to have a festival. When that chart was actually then, drawn up and put on paper, it's like the responsibility and then who takes care of that. It was just amazing how many responsibilities there are, and how everyone, pitches in and takes care of that.
Right.
And when you have the same person taking care of the same responsibility year after year after year, of course, they get really good at it. They know what they need to do. Can better plan, well, look a few steps ahead. Well, what if this glitch would happen or that glitch, and know how to fix that. So yeah, very smooth. And it's not just, the members of the DeWitt County Museum Association Board of Directors who, bring this knowledge to the table each time we have a festival, but also all those nonprofit vendors that have all their own volunteers that are out there on the grounds and the vendors and everyone. So it just works really well.
Yep, for sure. A lot of people, it takes a lot of hands. It really does to make it work on top of all the groups and the hands that it takes for them to make it happen. So, and of course it's funny. I had the kids were off on Monday, right after the festival, and I had them in the car, and we just happened to have to drive by that area to get out of town that Monday. And you wouldn't even the tents were still up. There were a few things still lingering, but you would just not have ever guessed that there were people just all over the lawn, all up and down Center Street the day before. It's just, it sets right up and it comes right down,
It does. It's amazing. It's so crowded those 2 days. And then, the next day is just so silent. I remember a few years ago, it was the day after the festival, and we'd had all these crowds and everything, and the meal grinding, they had dumped some corn on the ground outside, and I pulled into the parking lot. I'm the only soul at the museum, and when I got out of my car, I could see deer feeding on that corn down there. It was so peaceful.
Oh, wow.
Would never imagine that. The weekend, just the day before, thousands of people were on the ground.
You would have thought all the smells would have spooked them away, so
think,
they must have been hungry.
That corn must have smelled good.
evidently. And of course, the Apple and Pork Festival, as we've always mentioned, Joey, is the biggest fundraiser of the year for the homestead, and just does so many great things for you all and the nonprofits on the grounds and all of that. What did the homestead earmark anything from this year's fundraiser to go somewhere specific, or is there a project in mind you all are planning for?
Not to my knowledge. We have there is a finance committee, made up of members of the board of directors, and I'm sure that once all the numbers come in, which of course we don't have all the all of that figured out. There's money coming in right now, money going out right now, and then once they get their total numbers and everything and know where they are, then I imagine they'll probably start that process of figuring out what direction or directions to guide that.
Sure. Very good. So the Apple and Pork Festival for 2025 is in the books, and we're off to number 58 next fall. How about that, Joey?
Yeah. You want to talk about a few numbers?
Oh yeah, please. Yeah, sure.
Well, I do know that the brat stand that the museum has, they served over 3,000 brats this year. That's a lot of brats.
Now, how many does Terry usually get? Do you know?
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
And then, and that's another example of how everyone knows what to do. You know what I mean? He's been doing that so long that he knows, well, probably order this many, sell that many, they have it down to a science.
Yep.
And then I know what you're fond of, the apple cider float.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So they went through 126 gallons of ice cream.
Did they really?
That's a lot of ice cream.
126,000?
No, 126. Did I say 106,000?
I thought you did. I was like,
I'm
whoa.
Sorry if I said that. Ooh, get carried away. And then the two stands that do the apple cider, one just apple cider and the other one that does the floats, they went through 1,100 gallons of apple cider.
Yeah.
So
I saw Kelby maybe noon, 1 o'clock on Sunday. He said they were done.
Yeah, they probably sold out. Yeah. But again, Kelby has it down to a science. And
by the way, how great is it to have a young person like that helping out with the homestead and the festival every year?
It's wonderful. It really is. And we have a few younger ones on the board, and I think we've talked about this a little bit in the past. Sometimes things come up, and that younger perspective, has a great, that's where QR codes came from, just things like that. Very helpful, very helpful.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
no, that's fine.
Your numbers giving here,
and,
Joey.
Well, I can give a number on Kelby. his grandfather served on the board of directors for a very long time, and his parents have always been involved in helping volunteering at the museum. Kelby's on the board now. Their little guy, Kelby's little guy, is out there. So how many generations is that?
Yeah.
There's another number for you.
There you go.
You know, helping at the festival. And then when we totaled up the number of people who came through the house during festival weekend to tour the home, it averaged out to where more than one person per minute came through the door to tour the house during the hours that we were open that weekend. Yeah.
I got a lot of questions about it. I really like people wanted to go through the house. We got several questions about it through the course of the weekend of where do we go in? How much is it? And I unfortunately didn't know. Well, I knew where it was, but I didn't know how much it was and all of that. But yeah, Ruth and Larry were just right around the corner to help everybody. So yeah, that's great. Good for you guys.
So there's a few numbers.
Yep. Very good. Well, Joey, on that note, anything else from Apple and Pork we didn't touch on? Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum, C.H. Moore Homestead, my guest in studio. More to come with Joey on the morning show.
WHOW.
Shane Steinberg here from Highway 51 Exchange, your equipment rental headquarters, south of Clinton on US 51. Check our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com to book online today and pick up tomorrow. Highway 51 Exchange.
If you're tired of worrying about home maintenance and stairs, at Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, you don't have to. Enjoy independent living duplexes that are half the cost of traditional independent living options. Find out more by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
When you choose Brevant seeds, you don't just win. You win so big, the very ground beneath your feet cries tears of joy. You win so big that second place feels like a participation trophy. You win so big, you might as well be harvesting buried treasure. Oh, sorry, just one more. When you choose Brevant seeds, you don't just win. You hit the damn jackpot. Don't just win. Talk with your retailer or visit Brevant.com/jackpot to get started.
Closeout time is here for a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have a good selection of 25 Silverados remaining in regular and crew cab models with gas or diesel engines. Some with utility beds and dual roof wheels. Also see our remaining Colorados, Trailblazers, even our full-size Suburban and Tahoes, all priced to move out. See our 25 inventory today at BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Ace now offers free assembly and free delivery, so it's never been easier to get a great grill for your family, like a Weber gas grill, a Traeger wood pellet grill, or a Big Green Egg charcoal grill. Only at your neighborhood Ace. Around the block. What you need in stock, with people who know their grills.
This is Brad from Gibson Ace Hardware in Clinton, Illinois. Stop in to see us, the helpful place at 114 North Madison Street, Clinton.
See participating store for details.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, again, Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum and C.H. Moore Homestead. Joey, a cool little thing you've got going on that's going to be mobile is a little display that kind of gives the history of the C.H. Moore Mansion and how it became a museum. Tell me about this.
Yeah, we're very excited about this. We have quite an interesting story as far as how the house came to be a museum.
Mm-hmm.
The Museum Association didn't actually begin at the C.H. Moore Homestead. It actually started out in a vacated hardware store on the south side of the square.
Okay.
And so it's an interesting story and one worth sharing. And then we had a few old photographs from back in the 60s when they were working on restoring the house, and even a few photos of, before the work began. And it's pretty amazing. when you look at how bad of condition, portions of the house were in.
Right.
So anyway, I thought this was a story worth telling and photos worth sharing. And so the answer to this was the creation of a pull-up banner. So it's a 31-inch tall pull-up banner, and the text briefly, succinctly tells the story of, how the house came to become the home for the C.H. Moore Homestead DeWitt County Museum. It includes the photographs of before and during the work taking place to restore the mansion.
Sure.
It also includes some samples of the original wallpaper that was still on the walls when they began that work.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
now, does it make note of the fact that, because Mr. Lincoln mentioned this, that C.H. Moore didn't actually ever reside in that house?
he did.
He did?
Yes. Mr. Lincoln may have made mention that Mr. Lincoln never visited inside of Mr. Moore's house.
Oh, okay.
Because Mr. Lincoln was already in heaven when that house was
got
built.
It, got it. Okay, maybe I misunderstood what he said.
That might
Forgive
be
me.
what Mr. Lincoln meant.
Forgive me for that.
No, quite all right. And I'm sure Mr. Lincoln forgives you too.
Okay,
So does
I hope
Mr.
so.
Moore.
I hope so. Gonna have two angry people at me here soon.
So the beauty of this, pull-up banner thing is it tells a fantastic story. And it allows you to see, the images of the wallpaper and the old pictures and whatnot. And because it's a retractable banner, it's portable. So, I can use it inside the museum. I can use it in the carriage barn, which is a part of the, tour experience when people come. We can also take it on the road with us. We can go to the business expo. If I go to a tourism expo, I can take it with me there. I can think of
Do you
a
do
lot
things
of
like that? Go to tourism expos and
we used to quite a bit, not so much now. There's really not that much opportunity out there now for those things. But and I would say too, those things are probably kind of replaced now with social media and things like that. You have a far better reach in that way.
COVID probably did those in some level.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, it's a really nice thing to have. Now, that said, I came up with the concept. The concept is good. I can write it. I can gather up the old wallpaper. I can gather up the pictures. You have to have a great designer. You have to have an artist who shares your vision.
So who did that?
Well, that was Patrick Peterson. He is a member of the DeWitt County Museum Association. And as many of your listeners will know, he's a very community-oriented gentleman. And so, yes, he stepped up and he volunteered his services, his time, and his talent, and came up with just a beautiful design for us. He's one of those graphic designers that you can kind of explain, well, I'm kind of thinking I'd like to incorporate this and that and whatnot. And you have in your mind what you would like to have. And then when he shows you the proof of what he's created, you're just blown away because it's 100 times better than anything you could have imagined. So
he's very talented.
Very grateful to him for that.
Yeah, very talented. That's really cool. So that'll be a really nice asset, just something for you to take on the road or just have on display inside. That's going to be great. So very nice. Well, Joey, on that note, let's dive into, as we wrap up here this morning, couple minutes yet still with you. We embark on the end of October and into November, which means holiday season at the museum and Homestead is right around the corner. What do we know at this point?
Yes. So we will be ushering in, the annual events that everyone enjoys. On the Friday after Thanksgiving is when the Christmas holiday season kicks off at the museum. So on that day, we will have Santa night in the evening. Definitely an annual favorite. That event is free and open to everyone. So bring the little kids to sit on Santa's knee and they can tell him what their Christmas wishes are. And then that night also kicks off our first candlelight tour. And those tours, as you know, take place in the evenings every Friday up until Christmas, when the house is all decorated for Christmas. We have soloists singing and house illuminated by candlelight. And then we will be bringing back the horse-drawn carriage rides again this year. A couple dates on that, but don't quite have all the details yet, but I'll be happy to share those with everyone once we know.
Very good. So, yep, the holiday season is always bustling at the Homestead and Museum. That's great stuff. Very good. Joey, last minute here with you. Anything keeping you busy lately? Anything on your desk right now, whether you're researching, maybe a tease of a project or something like that you're working on?
Well, right now I'm working on getting that newsletter out. Newsletter goes to all of our DeWitt County Museum Association members. That should be going out, I would think, next week.
Okay.
Working on assembling that last page at this point. And as far as projects, and maybe we'll talk about this some other time, but I had a very interesting artifact donated a couple of months ago. And as I looked into it and the story of it, it's just an amazing piece of history that was brought to us. Still has a little mystery, so still researching a little more. And it's one of those stories that maybe isn't best told on the radio or best told, as a presentation or in writing. But I'm thinking maybe make a little video about that and put it out there, because it's a fantastic story that I just really want to share with people.
Joey, where do folks go to learn about all things DeWitt County Museum?
They can go to our Facebook page, and that's C.H. Moore Homestead, DeWitt County Museum. They can go to our website. It's www.chmoorehomestead.org, or they can stop by and see us anytime.
Very good. Joey Long, DeWitt County Museum, C.H. Moore Homestead, our guest. Network News on the way.